Hello everyone, this is Christian Melodexton Interactive, and in this video we are going to do a couple of things. First off, we're going to add again a bit more usability like we did in the previous video when we added the colors. What we'll do now is that if the user hovers over a group of securities, then the appropriate category will get highlighted by being bold at the top there. We'll also, of course, as you can see, add in these buttons here so that we can adjust the number of shares in a particular security. We'll even not only make it easier or make it so that it's adjusted by one, but if you hold down a particular modifier key, Shift, Control, or Alt, then we'll modify by how many shares we're adjusting. And so 5 for Shift, 10 for Control, and 20 for Alt. But we'll see both of those things in this video. Alright, before we get started here, I do like to say thank you for taking the time to watch the video and for subscribing. Of course, if you're not a subscriber, hope that you'll please consider subscribing to the channel. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started here. So last time we added in the color here to help us, or try to help us know which securities belong to which category. And the first thing that we're going to do here is help that along a little bit more by saying, indicating if we're hovering over a particular category, we're going to highlight which category in the top by basically bolding it. So let's get started doing that. First thing that we're going to do is create a type alias here. So type accounts security array, and that's going to be a string, and account security model array. So this is the type that we're using to create these. So each of the different color groups is an element in this outer array. It has a key, and then inside of that, the inner array we're iterating over to show the securities. So now that we have that, let's come down and give us something else to be reactive about. So let's give us active key, which is a string. It's of course going to be this string in our array here. And I guess I could rename this thing now, right? Make it a little bit nicer looking. This, so if we highlight all this gobbledygook, it's now that array. Alright, so now what we want is to create a couple of methods here. We'll create one private mouse over account securities. Probably going to be the only mouse over, so there's no reason to specify which one, but whatever. So now we use that account security array type that we just created, and we'll say is sort of if this dot active key, if that's equal to the array's first element, which is the abbreviation for the category which we're using as the key, we'll just return. Otherwise, this dot active key becomes array 0, element 0. So now we're able to set the active key. Let's unset the active key. So mouse leave account securities. This time we don't need anything. We'll just say this dot active key is equal to empty string. We can save that. Let us come up to the template here. So again, this top section up here is the top bit, and the bottom bit down there is the securities. So we have a li, we have a row here. I'm being bad for not specifying the key. So let's do this, v.bind key. That's the portfolio category ID. The important part, the reason we're stopping here, is to say v.bind, and we'll bind the class. And the class that we'll bind is active, of course, and we find out if it's active by saying the portfolio category. So inside of there's a category, and then that category has an abbreviation, and we check to see if that abbreviation is equal to the active key that we just created. So now we'll be able to put the active class on each of the rows of our categories. Let's come down here and modify things a bit. So we have a v dash. Let's come over here. I guess we can do it on the active, yeah, the outside li, and it wouldn't matter really. So v dash on, and we'll have mouse over, and we have a mouse over account securities in which we have to pass in this array that we're dealing with. And then we specify a mouse leave, and that's just mouse leave. We're not passing anything into it, so we're good to go there. And last, so that we can see things that are going on here, if we go down to our styles here, we'll just throw it in the bottom. Say dot active, and inside of dot active, font weight 600. Now we'll save, and if all goes well, hopefully in the video you can see that if I'm hovering over a group here, that the appropriate category at the top is being highlighted by making it bold. So we're good there. Now, the whole point of having a plan that has a percentage and calculating the actual percentage and the difference is so that we can sort of balance things out. And we're going to balance things out, of course, by adding or subtracting shares from different securities. So we need a way to do that. So what I'm going to do is, first off, inside of the script side of things, we're going to create a couple of methods here. So we'll have a private decrease. In this case, I'm going to take in the events myself, the mouse event, and we'll pass in an account security. That's a type of account security model. We'll prevent default on that, and for now, so we see everything's wired up, let's just console log something there. And private increase. Mouse event, we'll have account security, security model, e.prevent default, and console log increase. Save that. So we have methods. We need to invoke those methods. So while I'm at it here, I'm going to put some buttons on the rows. So I'm going to put a space in the end here, give us a label. So at the end of our row here, we're going to create a new div. It'll be a row since I want a couple buttons in there. And we're going to style them. So we'll put buttons class. Inside of there, we'll have a button, dot button, and v-on click. I normally do prevent default. We're going to do that ourselves down there. And we need the event. And once we have that, we can do decrease on the event. And what we pass in is account security here. This one's our decrease. Let's give it a minus sign there. v-on click e, and this one will be, of course, increase. Pass the event and our same account security. Let's give us a plus sign there. Save that. Got some buttons. We'll deal with some styling here. Just to be sure here, can't go too far. We haven't built this thing to deal with pixel size of 10 height. So let's refresh here, and if I click on the button, I get increase, I got decrease. So that part's working correctly. So let's do a little bit of styling down here. So in our style tag, So we have a .b buttons. In the buttons, we're going to do margin bottom maybe, and 0.125 rem. Sure. So they give us a little space between the rows there. So now let's do dot button, and I guess we could do this in several different ways to arrive at the same thing. What I'm doing is just decreasing the padding on the buttons. Then I realized that the minus sign and the plus sign don't have the same width, so the buttons end up with not the same width. So we'll do min width, and what I want to do is just basically bump it out to 40 pixels on the default font size of 16 pixels. So, and well, let's save that. So you see they got a little bit smaller there, but now I want to separate them a little bit. So let's just go into the first child, and we'll do a margin right there. My OCD is getting to me a little bit and saying, you know, maybe half should be margin right, and then on the other button, half margin left, but no one will ever know. So now we have buttons that are separated a little bit easier to see. We could put, I guess, a margin top to deal with, but then we'd have to deal with single rows and whatnot. But so we're good. We're going to call it a day there. So let's come back into our script here where we have our console log statements. Let's modify this, and we'll just say account security that we're getting passed into us. Account security dot shares, and we're in decrease, so minus equals 1. And for increase, what we want is account security dot shares plus equal 1. Save that, and hopefully if all goes well again, you can see that the numbers are changing up there. So the share over here to the left is going up by 1, and it's recalculating the difference in the percentages and all that. It goes down by 1, so that's all good. Of course, if we're way out of whack here, we'd be clicking forever, and I don't want to click forever. So let's make it a little bit easier to use. Let's come up here, and we'll say if, and this is the reason why I have the event coming in. So let's get modifier state, and we'll look for shift. If shift, and then else if, get that modifier state again, and control. Yeah, what am I doing? And else if, I'd have to look on the spec here to see, because I'm not sure, I forgot to look, if that's not alt on a Mac. But if it's not, we can just add another statement. So let's bring that in. So now if we have no modifiers, we'll just do by 1. Let's just copy them in for the moment. And so if we have shift, let's go up by 5, control 10, or I guess we're going down in this case, and 20 for alt there. Just going to grab that, go down here to our increase, and of course we need to change these to plus, and last but not least, +1. Let's go ahead and save that. So now 1, 5s, 10s, and 20s. All right, so I guess we could check. So down by 20, down by 10, down by 5, down by 1. All right, so I think that is all we're going to do in this video. So again, in here we've helped our usability a bit by showing that if we're over a particular category or a group of securities that are in a particular category, then we're highlighting that category by making it bold at the top. And we've added in the ability to adjust shares so that we'd be able to put these categories back in line with, hopefully zeros in the differences. Guess we'll have to wait and see what we end up doing in the next video. But until then, I will talk to you later. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. I know that your time is valuable. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel and click the thumbs up button, as well as share the video with your friends. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below. And once again, thank you, and I will talk to you in the next video.